Do you ever get mad? I mean, really mad? I'm wearing a Flyers shirt because back in my day, in the 70s and 80s, the Flyers hockey team was called the Broad Street Bullies. There was an old joke that I went to a fight and a hockey game broke out because they would fight at the games. Well, today we're going to talk about fighting. We're going to get into a couple of truths about what makes a good marriage great. And some people think that if you're really in love, you're never going to fight. But when I do premarital counseling, I have at least 6 sessions. They all begin with the letter C. You know about my alliteration addiction. But we'll talk about that ceremony. But remember last time we said we're not just planning for a day and a special day, although we want it to be fun, or even a great ceremony. We're planning for a lifetime, a marriage after that. So we've got to learn how to communicate, how to deal with conflict, how to explore that area of cuddling and sexuality. What are we going to do with this covenant relationship? There's a lot of stuff that we need to learn. But couples will fight. Did you ever meet those couples been married 55, 65 years and say, we've been married 65 years, we've never had a fight? And you know what you call them? Liars! Liars! They're just too old to remember. We will disagree. We will fight. And I'm just going to share one principle about how to avoid some of that conflict. Because my experience is that people are basically in 2 areas. There are people who are like turtles. They don't like conflict. As soon as something comes up that they don't like, they go into their shell. And those turtles usually marry other people called hammers. Now, I've got a little teeny hammer that I have for my grandsons. You use that for finish work. And what happens when you touch that hammer to a turtle? It clamps up. And if they don't come out, and boy, some of us just hate that silent treatment, we may get a bigger hammer. And if that doesn't work, we may cover it with something rubber so it sounds nice, but we're going to pound harder. And then eventually we're going to get into this hammer or this hammer, and we want to get an answer. We want to find out what's wrong. We want to fix stuff because that's what guys do. And hammers and turtles do not fight well. So we need to learn what it is that makes us fight and how do we fight. If we disagree, how do you handle that conflict? Now, last week we talked about expectations. There's something we all want, whether it's to get up or pick up the clothes or put the toilet seat down, some of the old things that make for little fights. And there's big things that we want. But the key is it's what we want. When we don't get what we want, boy, we get angry. And we need to learn how to resolve that anger. We're going to explore some more of that this week. But if I can just give you one Bible verse, it comes from the book of Ephesians. And Paul wrote, husbands, love your wives. We could stop there. What does it mean to love your wife? Husbands, love your wives. That's a command. Not just a choice, not a feeling. Husbands, love your wives just as Christ loved the church. Well, there's another 3 weeks of sermons. How did Christ love the church? What did he do for the church? It tells us here, husbands, love your wives, just as Christ loved the church, and he gave himself up for her. Boy, in this society where we want to do things our way, get my way, I deserve to be happy, I have my rights. What did Jesus do? He gave up his rights, and he gave himself for the church. He demonstrated that love. So sometimes maybe the best way to avoid conflict is to give up what I want and seek to bless the other person. But understand when we do disagree, hammers and turtles are not going to resolve the problem. We got to find ways that we can discuss the issue and then get to a solution that will make you happy and honor God. There's going to be more this week as we celebrate my 41st anniversary. Did you see that opening picture? Lovebirds. Well, you can still be in love 41 years later. And we're going to find out how this week. More tomorrow. God bless.